to the Creatives Conversation. This is brought to you by Helps 2. If you're new here, my name is Gabriella Martay. I'm the director and owner of Helps 2. And if you're listening on YouTube, I want to ask you to subscribe right now. We got a lot of cool things coming your way. And then we have with us...
I'm Amber. I'm the brand manager at Helps 2.
Mm-hmm. And then we have some special guests that were on the episode before this. If you missed it, go watch it. It's all about creatives and the Enneagram, how creativity flows into your Enneagram number and all of that.
And
like
personality.
So much, yeah. Mm-hmm. So much was discussed in that podcast. It was probably, over an hour, Andre?
Really?
Was it over?
Was it really?
Our first podcast
was a little under
over an hour.
Are you gonna do like a part 2? Like to break
Less
it up
than
into
an hour,
maybe.
Because you know.
Oh, less than an hour.
No.
Okay, just kidding.
Oh.
So it's
I asked earlier.
I
You
was
said
like,
55
fake
minutes.
news.
55 minutes? Okay,
Fake
we're talking to
news.
Andre, who's behind the camera.
Canceled.
Our videographer. He's amazing.
Hey!
Now he did for the camera. Well, we need to get you on one of these. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that'd be a
got him
great
on the
one.
list.
Okay, well then
for
we'll
it.
do it. Okay, but I have Sierra Bruton with me. She does a talk show called Let's Talk About It. We get to help. And then we have Kendra Reed.
I don't know what I did that.
She is a dancer, a YouTube artista, fashionista, all the things. And so
yes.
TikTok.
today...
She said, I claim that.
I know.
Absolutely.
I claim it.
I'm here for it.
I wanna... Anyways, we're here to talk to you today about creatives and their love lives. And I think the true question is, are creatives flaky in relationships? And I thought it was funny because before this, we were all kind of talking and we're like, well, a lot of us haven't had relationships in a while, so maybe we are flaky.
Who said that? First of
Long
all,
Not naming no
relationships.
names.
Long relationships.
Definitely not.
Because
my
flaky
bad.
Means, flaky means
Are
you
we
have it and
editing
then you
this?
leave.
Oh, I
No?
thought you meant like flaky, like you don't show up, answer your phone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I think flaky in relationships, though. And what I'm thinking is maybe we should talk about this
Let's
off the
define
camera. Oh, we're
flaky.
gonna define it right here for y'all. So I would
We'll be
say
right back.
flaky. Yeah, we'll be right back. And then it goes to commercial and like
Elevator music.
it's a little
3
bars.
hours later.
This has gone from the creatives conversation to SpongeBob.
First of all, this is how I've always viewed the creatives conversation. Like 4 people around the table that like know each other, and we can hash out issues like this. So thank you for being here. I will say, I think flakiness in relationships to me is like you kind of commit, but then you end up kind of like runing away.
Kind
your
of
own
1 foot
kind of
in,
way.
1 foot out.
Yeah, but at first
cheating?
it looks
Lukewarm.
like, no, I would say, whoa, cheating. Now that's a whole other level of disrespectful.
Whoa.
Sorry.
But I would say, like you go kind of wherever the wind blows. Like you're kind of like, oh, I like him or like her, and I'm going to commit. And then you end up like 3 months later, like don't even talk to the person anymore, kind of, flaky.
I feel like, okay, this is what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
I feel like there's like 2 sides to every story.
Yeah.
So I feel like
That's
in
fair.
my experience in
a coin.
dating men, I primarily only dated creatives. Like I dated one guy who was like business, but like that was it. All of the rest of them in their own way, super creative. Like their careers revolve around that. And so, but I also have had men tell me that like I'm the one who drops off. But like, I guess in my mind, the way that I see it is like, we just fizzled. Like, ain't nothing to it. And then they're like,
like
why are you dropping off on me like that?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
hear you.
But then to me, I'm complaining about men, creative men, and how, okay, I'm so sorry. I have a story real quick.
Oh, she's got a story, y'all.
So I feel like that's my struggle when I don't want a man who's not creative. That's important to me. I've in my dating different types and different
Well, what do you talk about when you say creative? Because
okay, so yes,
Because you
that
can be an
doesn't matter.
engineer and be
That can-
creative.
Exactly. That can.
yeah,
Okay. Most
tell us.
I told y'all
girl.
this is my conversation. Yeah. Like so the
building
thing
stuff from the
that
ground up.
I want is you to have a goal and to be chasing that goal.
Well, that's not
If you
creative,
don't,
or is that?
But
okay.
usually I tend to go more towards the creatives, meaning like videographers, graphic designers, songwriters, poets, all
Video
of
game
you know what I'm
artists.
saying? Like in their own way. Like the best relationships I've had are people who are creatives, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And I feel like the thing that I like the most about it is that they don't I don't have to fight for them to understand me and my goals and my drives that I have. And they can also help push you towards the goals that you have. But a negative is that if you are out creating them, they want to be a leech. You know what I'm saying? So like when I say that, this one man in particular, I only talked to him for like a couple of weeks because it was
I'm just kidding.
Name Billy, okay? I do remember his name actually. Okay, so this man, so he was a rapper, which I've dated a couple of rappers. What?
Billy B.
Billy B on the beat. And so, anywho, this man, he was like, okay, so in one of our conversations, first of all, I have to preface, I feel like this man was on something because he was so crazy that I was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you can't not be. But anyways, he was talking about like his career and everything, which I love, but I feel like if your career is actually up and popping, you don't got to convince anybody that it's actually up and popping.
That's
you
true.
know what I'm saying?
That's true. We talked about this a lot last summer.
Yeah,
like
that's
the people that really, with people that we know here, how they wanted to, like, front a lot. Like, we got all these clients. We got all these major... No, not... Anyways, Gabby knows.
Oh, yeah.
We got all these major...
I was like, people.
Yeah.
Say their names.
Like,
girl.
if you're fronting too much, you probably don't have
Okay,
the
so what she's
background.
talking about is like, nameless, because they probably don't even think about it. So like, yeah, it's this other company
Called Billy?
that we would always see them around, and they would always try to
At
sell
the
us on
co-working
how
space.
great
Yeah.
they're doing.
Right.
And we're
they're
sitting
like-
there eating pizza, just chilling. Like, we don't have anything to prove. And like, I think they wanted us to like, there's something about like baiting you. I felt so baited, like,
Yeah, I don't like
and so they're trying to bait us, like,
Trying to fish
we
a
have
little
this
bit.
client,
Like,
we have this
they would
client.
ask us even, like, so who are you working with? And like stuff like that.
Dang.
We're like, we're just chilling. Like,
Yeah. But I feel like, that's like a huge red flag to me is that
That's
if you
a
have
red
a
flag.
career, a legitimate career, and like that's all you can talk about, and you want to make sure that I know, your work's not speaking for yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? For
That's
yourself.
true.
You know what
If
I'm
you
saying?
have to
Not
keep
working
telling
hard enough.
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I don't mind the startup. I'm a
Right.
startup myself. Like,
Yeah.
you know
We
what
all
I'm saying?
have been, yeah.
Exactly. I'm not really tripping over like where you are in the journey. It's just important to me that you have a journey. So
Yeah.
anyways, this man, right, he was like, he was talking to me about all these things I can do for him and his brand and stuff. And I was like, I'm not really interested in doing that for you. And he said this one comment
Wait,
in
all the
particular.
things you could do for him?
Yes. And
It's a
Pause.
job
I just
interview.
want to put this in there too. Creatives tend to get taken advantage of for their creative, like
Yes.
with people who are in relation to them. Like, oh, like you're a graphic designer. Can you make this thing for my wedding? Like,
No.
like I've been asked
And-
to do
yeah.
envelopes for people's weddings before for free. I'm like, go look up how much that costs because you should be paying me a lot, and you're
Yeah.
asking me to do it for free because I'm a creative and I'm your
Right.
friend.
Or you're your friend, or like they feel like they have like some type of in or something. He was the exact same way. And so one comment that sent me is he was like, when I asked like, what you looking for? Like in the beginning of talking, like things that you say.
Right.
And so I asked that and he's like, I'm just looking for a woman that can like take my picture. And I literally looked at my phone like, that was my face. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I am
hire
here
somebody.
for way more than just a picture. Like, I'm not here to make your gram look up. First of all, I'm trying to get my gram to look up and pop in, let alone yours.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, he must be also stuff. and then he tried to explain to
I almost
me.
said something super offensive, but I'm so glad I didn't. I'm like, thank you, God.
He tried to explain to me how his way of thinking was just so expound and so big that, and he's like, so it's okay if, he literally told me, he was like, it's okay if you're not grasping onto what I'm saying. And I was like, huh?
That's where I would do
Now
my
you
cue
just-
Peppa Pig.
And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I said, I was like, you know what? I told him, I was like, you might be right. I'm gonna have to let you go. And that's exactly what I said. And I never called him
Let it
back.
go.
And like, but
That's
that was like a little bit more of an extreme example of like, and that we didn't date. Like we only talked for like a couple of weeks. And his, like, I feel like I can see some of that in other creatives in a dating relationship, is that they really value their own creativity above you being a human being.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of times been like kicked in the face, y'all, because I did not come before.
Give me names, I'll go get them.
You know some, okay?
I'll get them, girl.
Like they, you know what I'm saying? Like their mindset, you know what I'm saying? All this comes way above how we treat other human beings. You know what I'm saying? And if we're talking about flakiness, that's where I find the flakiness. Is that, or like, I'm just not at that level you are yet. And so like, why can't you just like, you know what I'm saying? Like the expectation, if they're way farther than me in their journey, the expectation that's put on me is really extreme. When like our resources, one, might be different, our connections might be different. Really, to progress a lot of things, you gotta have both. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like in a way that you want to do it. And so like, just because like, okay, let me try and keep, because I feel like if I say too much, folks are gonna know what I'm talking about. But like, anyways, and then I've also had people who were like on the same level. But, and I feel like that's a little bit easier, is like dating people who are in a similar space like on their journey. Where I feel like with Let's Talk About It, I feel like I have substance of some sort. Sometimes I don't know where it came from, but like I do. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Anyways, but like, and I feel like that can carry me if we get this right. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. If he is got something going for him that can like carry him, I like that. You can have a 9-to-5, all that stuff, but like I like to be there for my man and his creativity journey, and I just the way that I would want him to be there for me. Doesn't mean I'm about to be a rapper. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean
you don't gotta be the same thing.
Okay, like maybe I will.
Well, I will say there's a difference between a healthy creative and then like a toxic creative. And I feel like
those
a lot of
can be hard
creatives are
to
toxic.
find.
Because a lot of people become creatives to kind of cope with the pain that they've gone through.
That's true.
And then they never like truly get healed from it. And that's why my songs personally as a musician have went from like super dark for like many years to finally like this revelation of like there's so much more to life. And like and the moment you start actually doing it, I think you're just so busy doing it that you don't have like even a spectrum in your mind unless you're trying to like, you know, get someone to work with you of like you're here and I'm here, and I'm like, I'm trying to write this song, I'm trying to build this book, I'm, you know, I don't cool. Let's just be cool. Like, and so I think those people with
each other on.
You're here, I'm here. My thoughts are so elaborate. Are like so prideful because they're not doing it.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like, because obviously there's different levels to a creative journey. You know what I'm saying? Like,
every time.
Like naturally, you're farther ahead. You've been doing it longer than I have. But when I'm at the level you're at, there's going to be people who haven't been doing that that long.
And still
you know
people
what I'm
ahead
saying?
of you that you're looking at and you're like, wow, like I'd love to be able to function like that.
And that's why like we can actually take that and use that to work together and like not tear each other down. And so I think like Gabby is someone who is a really good example of a creative who's farther ahead than a lot of her friends, and you still like take on people who are, you know, not as far along in their journey. And I'm not even talking about dating relationships at this point, just like in relationships.
Let's talk about
it. Like let's talk about it. You've had a lot of other creatives. Amber Wilson, she's been on a couple of times. You've helped her with, you know, getting some content for her social media, and you know, you've helped me as an illustrator and given me opportunities.
We just giving flowers.
I'll take the gas.
No, but it's true. And so like that's what like I think draws people in.
Gas is expensive.
Continue, girl.
What draws people in
to people like you is that, you know, you're like, come one, come all. Like, I don't have to prove that I'm better than you. Like, I think, you know, your work speaks for itself.
That's like, what I'm saying. You don't have to go into a room talking about helps to this, marketing, music, that, But I mean, go ahead, give a plug. But like,
she doesn't have to because people are already talking. She'll walk into a room and like, I remember you were on a worship team at the House of Prayer, and you walked in one morning to your briefing, and they were watching your music videos and talking about, Gabby, you're famous.
Oh my gosh.
And like people
just like my mom thinks I'm famous too.
Like people tell her that all the time. It's so funny because I've seen your journey a little more closely just because we work together, and so it's so funny to me when those moments happen to you, and I'm like, yes, that's right. Like people are getting it because I'm like a big fan too. I'm like, yes, Gabby, like we're rooting each other on, and that's how it should be. Like, come on, creatives, quit tearing each other down.
Healthy example.
Yeah.
Well, when you realize that you're not your art, like for so long, I can speak for myself and say, as a creative, and I have friends in the industry, whatever you want to call it, the arena, that have dealt with the same thing, and for so long, I was so hurt by like so many things in life. Like my parents got a divorce at a young age, and so all I knew was like self-expression, and I had something to prove. Like maybe until I was like 26, I was like, I have something to prove, and like it was never spoken. It was just all inside of me, and I was constantly trying to like make this sound great and do this and dress like this, but like at the same time be myself because I'm 4 on the Enneagram, so I'm not trying to like fit a mold. So that's been honestly my biggest struggle. Like a 4-wing 3, right? 3s are great at looking at any system and on the Enneagram, and you can figure out the system and climb to the top. Like it's a gift, and it really is, and you can use it for good or bad. The 4 is like, I don't want to be a part of the system. I'm so different. So I've had this inner tussle as a creative, and I still have it. I'm sure I could have like done something to get like 1 million followers somehow, some way. I just know it, but I can't sell out like that. And so, and I think even more, you say I'm so kind to people. Well, number one, because I got healthy, and I realized, wow, I am treating this creativity as some kind of way to prove myself. And then, honestly, I kind of lost motivation once I was like, well, God loves me. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what to write about because I'm
your
good.
Journey's your journey.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. I don't have anything to prove. So it took me years to kind of jump back in. But at the same time, when I see creatives who are just starting, I remember what that feels like when people tell you suck, or like, I've had people tell me that sucks. And I'm like, your mom sucks. I'm sorry. I don't say that. Well, you know, you just get mad. You want to say something. I never said that. I never said that. But like, you know, you don't have any reply. You know what I mean? And it just hurts. And like, you're broken, and you're trying to get there, and you're just doing all these things, and you don't know what to do. That's the biggest question mark. That's why I love being a part of Helps Too. We get to help like creatives and people figure out a path to get to where they want to go.
Times 2.
Helping you help others.
Yeah.
Sort of like H2O.
I used to love that show.
H2O, but
show?
no oxygen here. I'm just kidding.
Wait,
we should move on.
Wait, so
it's like an Australian show about mermaids.
We never really. I'm still stuck back at the part where what are we defining as flaky? Because
I thought we
really
did describe it.
No, I feel like
Hit us.
we kind of went sort of
say
different ways.
What,
so
what
like,
do you think flaky is?
Wait, can we condense a little bit? Like, what do you think flaky actually?
I think flaky is not showing up. Fear of commitment, fear of showing up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can't commit.
Unreliable.
Yeah.
And to me, when we bring a creative relationship into it, like, I'm thinking more in the dating scenario, is that I feel like how it manifests itself is that I value my creativity more than I value pretty much other human beings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's
it comes out,
wonderful.
and the only time I really, I personally see them valuing other people is when they're contributing to their creative journey.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, like,
that's
I don't
kind
need
of
you.
that's kind of how I'm thinking flaky is just unreliable across the board.
So I was flaky until I got healed. Sorry to be like testimony night, but like, like seriously, I remember in college, this girl came up to me. Well, she was a friend of mine, and I had actually committed to go out with her on a Friday night. And you know, California culture. I don't want to blame California, but like, you show up late, it's beach culture, like, and a lot of my friends growing up, you know, if you said you wanted to go on Monday, if Friday comes, if you're in your pajamas, you're in your pajamas, and everybody goes without you, and like, it's not a big deal. But this girl's from the East Coast, and like, all my friends out there are loyal to the soil. So I remember like, low key, she was just like, we're going on Monday, and we made that decision together. Friday hits, and I'm in my pajamas when she comes to get me. And she was like, are you coming? And I was like, actually, I was gonna. And the thing she called me, she goes, Gabby, you are so flaky. I don't want to be your friend. And she did it in front of another friend of mine. And I was like, kind of shook, like.
I bet.
And so that changed my whole life. I said, you know what? I don't know. I didn't know this was a bad habit, even though it was. I just had never thought about it.
Right.
Like,
Or people weren't bothered enough to like
let me know.
Right.
And that changed my whole life. I started thinking, like, how am I affecting people? And and all that. And it relates to dating.
Yeah. Creatives need self-awareness.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, everyone needs self-awareness and social awareness.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah.
And just,
It's so true, yeah. I think it's really interesting when creatives date creatives, because you're talking about you're looking for a creative man. I, to be honest, always thought I was too. Until I met my boyfriend, who is like very business minded, and I realized the two go together so well.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because I can have my little, flaky moments, but he's very like steady. He's very like vision focused. So he's like long-term goal, like, Amber, we want to get your art into like a coffee shop. I want to help you. Like, he's very like good at making a plan to put the idea into action. And so I think it's really interesting when, creative people come together with like business-minded people specifically. And there are some people that are both already. Like,
or just
I'm not
more
both.
Sturdy people.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to know business to be like.
True.
Just
not
sturdy,
flaky.
yes. But I feel like business people
are usually
can
sturdy.
be more sturdy.
Generally,
They're in for the long haul.
And so it's just interesting to me that like the pairing of like two very creative individuals, like, can be great because, there's a lot of famous couples or like, really well-known couples that are both creatives, but like having, just being aware of like those different personality traits. Like as a creative, I can be a little like moved by the wind because I'm just like, oh, this is my style now. Oh, I actually want to do more of this type of art instead of this, and like, all that stuff. But like having someone to keep you kind of grounded is like, I think really helpful. So it's not that like you're flaky and you're bad, like as a creative, but I think if you do have those tendencies, I just think it's better to find someone who doesn't have those tendencies.
Or who does something different than you creatively.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that's more so what I feel. So like I have dated like more business focused men other than creatives, and although I feel that like evenness, but like it's not what I'm looking for. Like it's not like, I still feel like there's some things that I don't want to explain in a relationship, and that is my creativity and how, you know what I'm saying, and how it's part of my life, and my blackness, and my faith. Like these are not things. These aren't for me. It might not be for everybody, but those are my non-negotiable. Like those are not conversations I want to argue with in my relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I feel way more alive. I enjoy the relationship so much better when he has something going for himself. Yeah. You don't even have to be this like crazy millionaire like film director or I don't know, whatever.
Why not though? He could be.
But I mean, like if you want to be, I don't mind. But like anytime like I'm really into somebody or something's like working out really well, there's usually something really creative about him. So like the last guy that I was with, I would definitely say is much more of a business person. Like he has a degree in marketing, stuff like that, but he writes poetry. Like he's very into like spoken word, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there are business-minded creatives out there.
Exactly.
Like that's how my boyfriend is. He's super creative too in his own way. He's a writer, but he is also like super business-minded and knows how to like run systems. And,
I just want, now that last guy, he didn't really have many like goals and things, and so you know what I'm saying. But I'm just saying like, in general, there's usually in every person that I'm with that aspect of like creating is like a drive for you. And I feel like,
which is ambition, which actually I think is very different than, I think creativity is one thing, but ambition's another.
Yeah.
I think you can have both.
I want both.
But both together is actually quite rare. Especially after being at Helps too. The number of creatives I've met and my duration of being here has been like a ton. But the number of creatives that are actually doing something about like the vision they have is like 5% or less.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
And it's almost frustrating, but we're here to help, it's frustrating. Go ahead.
So do you guys like creating just for the sake of creating? Like when you guys are talking about like whether it be in relationships or you guys yourself, like creating, like someone who's creating something, like what does that look like for you? Because I'm more of a type of person that's like, I like to create things, but in order for me to have like, or for them to be lasting or feel purposeful, because I want to create those types of things, like I need inspiration or I want inspiration. Like I don't necessarily just want to be like doing something for the sake of doing something. Like that to me is just like that's kind of like the what is it, mundane, and I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Well, when it becomes your job, or your livelihood, you kind of have to have a balance in that. Like, I've heard people say the like one for me, one for them. Like, I'll create one thing for me that like I enjoy it and is based on my inspiration, but I'll also create one thing for my audience that will, get more views or get more people will actually buy it or whatever it is. But like as an artist, I've had to like paint things that were commissioned of me because like somebody wanted me to make a Father's Day card for their dad, and like I don't normally paint red grills, but here I was, or like for a friend, she has a sister who's a cosmetologist, so I was painting a bunch of little makeup things and all that, and I'm like, that's not my style, like that's not usually what I make at all. But like, when there's like, this is what is being demanded of me as an artist, like I actually have to step up and do that, even if it's not like what I feel like creating or what's like my style per se. And I don't feel like a sellout because of that, because most of what I create is still for me. Right. And like people just buy what I create because they like what I created and that inspired me. But when people are asking me for a specific thing, like, yeah, I'll take, I'll do something that's a little outside of like what I'm inspired by, just for the sake of doing it for a commission or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that makes like sense. A both. Yeah, like I think it's kind of like a both and situation. Like I want to get to the point that like everything, that all of my income is based off of things that I created, and because no matter what, creating is way more enjoyable than a 9-to-5. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But I also like I want to get to that point where like I'm fully funded by everything that I create, and that I can and that my job is what I want to do. And I do hear like I hear people say like don't paint your bedroom your favorite color because you're gonna end up hating it, or don't have your job as like your passion and everything,
or a place you like to eat.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah,
or that. Like I just want to enjoy my life. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I want to do what I love, and you're spending so much time doing like a normal job when like you can. It just kind of reminds me of that conversation we were having for your birthday. Like we were talking about worship music, and like kind of at that. Granted, that's like a little bit different, but like anyways, I just kind of feel like it can be both. It can be like a passion, but it can also be your form of income.
Yeah.
I was more so talking about just like passion wise, not necessarily income. Like that makes sense for like what you explained for like income.
So then what do you mean by?
Well, I think sometimes if you want to get good at something, you just have to like do it even when it's not fun. Like I talked about my routine during quarantine in the last video. I was talking about how every night, whether I felt like it or not, I would write a poem or a blackout poem, and I would do a page in my Write This journal. And like that wasn't always like something I look forward to or like something I did because I felt inspired to. Most of the time I did it out of routine, out of like, I will not do this, or I will do this, or I will not go to sleep because I need to create something today in order to keep like just something burning inside of me.
That's
you
good.
know?
I love that.
But a lot of it, like especially because we all went to music school. A lot of music school is just doing things that are routine. Right. And doing things that are uninspiring.
Not just like
playing
routine,
scales.
because like anybody can do a routine.
Sure.
Like my dad cooked me breakfast every morning for like 12 years. That's a routine.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so nice.
I know, it was. I'm like, now that I'm older, I miss it. But like, because you don't realize. But then there's disciplines. Like,
that too.
And that's why I'm so attracted to like athletes and like artists, because like, you can't become a guitarist that's like playing lead lines and shredding a guitar by just like picking it up.
Yeah,
like,
here and there.
You know what I mean?
Like you feel like it.
But nowadays, I think that's kind of which is rare. But like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or like, you can't become a great basketball player by just like, you might be like fairly like more athletic than the next person. Cool.
Right.
Like even Whitney Houston didn't like wake up and sing that well. She practiced her behind off, and nobody sees that. But when she appears, there's first of all, like this weight of glory that she operates in, and second of all, she's great and like one of the best singers that will ever live, in my personal opinion. But I will say this, that is so attractive because a lot of people in this era that we're in are like so quick fix. Like we're like the McDonald's generation, like the millennial generation.
Microwave generation.
Yeah, and so, everybody wants to be a photographer. Oh, I got the new iPhone, I'm a photographer.
iPhone photography.
Like,
Low key, that's me though.
no, me too. But
I said new
I'll never
iPhone.
say it though. I'll be out here taking my little, cute photos.
Shoot, I still got
but
my
I
7.
I won't
I'm
call
doing
it that.
fine.
So
30, flirty, and
I
thriving.
think it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when it comes to opposite like attraction or like attraction of the opposite sex for me, that is something really important to me. Not that like you're not the creativity, but the fact that you're disciplined in something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
More
because-
so, I'd take a basketball player that couldn't sing a note. The
Over.
discipline, that
Yeah.
discipline over a creative that like is a couch potato.
Because that carries over. Like that carries over to how is he going to be in the relationship.
Absolutely.
And like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Are you
of
committed?
course- yeah, and like when things get tough, because they will, because we're human.
Right.
And mankind. I should have put that in there.
No
'cause
way.
mankind. Right? Like,
Did
it's
nobody
crazy,
tell
right?
me this?
Right. I know. I just learned it yesterday. Like, anyway. But like,
We all humans.
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 All of us.
Mankind.
Oh my gosh.
Mankind. The manest of the kind.
I'm done.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like, but yeah, like when things get hard, like, is he going to fight for it? Like, is he going to be disciplined enough to stick around?
And
Yeah.
that's
You
so
know what I
hard to
mean?
find in creatives.
And that's why
And
I started
that's what we're
dating
talking
people
about
that
this-
seem more
What
steady
kind
than
of creatives
creative.
y'all be around?
But listen, here's the thing though.
What kind of
I'm just
creatives
curious.
you
Like
be around?
I know
I'm just
I know
wondering.
this, that like I might have better luck not finding a creative. I know this, but I want.
Well,
a creative,
everybody
you know
is a
what I'm
creative.
saying?
I think you got to define what a
Yeah.
creative is
Yeah,
that's what-
because
Okay, when
my
I'm more
boyfriend didn't come
yes.
off as a creative. He came off as very
just
steady,
different.
and that's what I started looking for because that's now more appealing.
I feel like what we're thinking of when
But
we're
he's a
thinking of-
phenomenal artist.
like you can. I want you to have something creative that you're working towards. You know what I'm
project,
saying?
yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's not your
Okay.
job.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
really, it maybe it sounds surface level. I don't know. I just know in my past dating history, this is what I've jived with best.
Yeah.
So
You
what
know
if
what
you
I'm
meet
saying?
this dude? He's super fly, cool guy, super fun, but he just like his dream is like living in corporate America and like he rocks this job, makes good money, but like he doesn't like in terms of building something on his own, like entrepreneurship, that
Okay,
kind of
so
creativity.
if
He's gonna
we
work
felt-
for the man all his life and he is like that's his calling.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I feel like here's the thing.
Well,
if
what are
I
his
if I
hobbies?
fell in love with this person, there's give and take.
Yeah.
And if what he can bring to the table is way greater than like the expectations that I have, as in I
Right.
want to be with a creative, that does not matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and one of my friends, she was saying that we were having the same conversation about creatives dating non-creatives and or somebody else who is creative, and she was basically saying like, yeah, the man I'm dating, he has no dreams, he has no aspirations, he has no nothing.
Done
And
that.
in her head, she was like, well, maybe this is good because I have a lot and I got enough for the both of
share.
us. And I was like, but I don't know if that's what I want. I don't want to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
I want us
Partnership.
together. Yes,
Yeah.
together. And this is just my dream, but like obviously reality looks a lot different than what we have set in our own minds. And even like God's plan that he has for us is way greater than what
Right.
we're thinking.
Right.
So I could end up with an accountant, but like
They still gotta be
have the
creative
best
with numbers.
relationship. You know what I'm
Creative in
saying?
numbers.
There's
Creative
numbers.
hope
You know
they're
how
not
to make
creative
money
in numbers.
appear when there
I
ain't
don't
no
know.
money, you know what I'm saying? That's
better not be
it's
creative
about
with numbers.
embezzlement.
but not like that.
But like anyway,
Hey, yeah, you have to go there.
but I mean, for the sake of
about.
like this
That's not what I-
conversation and like obviously this
They
is
really don't.
nuances and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the board, I prefer creatives. But yeah, if something like this comes up, most definitely, because if like I said, God's plans are way greater than what I can
Yeah.
even picture for myself.
Yeah.
And so I definitely would be willing to set that because you're not in a career path that I would like you to be. I think it's just because the career path that I want is very specific. I want a partner to do it with me.
Yeah.
You know what
Someone
I'm
that can
saying?
understand the vision
Yes,
too. That's
yes.
really important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also when I'm talking about ideas and everything, for example, my sister, she's extremely creative, but she's not creative in the way that I'm creative. Even though
yeah.
she's like my reoccurring guest on Let's Talk About It. But like, so I would like spit out ideas to her, right? So like one example was when I was gonna reintroduce, I was gonna be like, welcome Black to Let's Talk About It, you know, play on words. And then she was like, that's hella cheesy. And I was like, dang, is it really? And then 2 months later, Belief in
We like cheese,
Fatherhood,
though.
that's his tag. And it sounds super dope when he's like, welcome back to Belief in Fatherhood, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dang, I should have taken it. Like when I could, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but she wasn't with me on that level to be able to be like, to see past the cheesiness to how it actually play out in a video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And granted, I would not break up with a man if he told me that was cheesy. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
Someone that's gonna go there, that's not afraid to go there.
Yeah, I think there's an
Like,
openness about it.
Yeah.
And it might not be creativity. I think you can get with someone and when you love them, you say, hey, like, your dreams are my dreams. Let's dream together. You know what I mean? And
as long as you got dreams.
yeah, that's
I
what
want
it
you to
is.
have
Dream
dreams
together. Yeah.
Yes.
Dream
It does
together.
not have to be my dream.
Yeah.
It would be nice for us to fall in a similar like path.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like you can do so much more when you're plowing together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like. But the biggest thing, I want you to work towards something because I'm working towards something.
Yeah,
and
same.
I've seen
I wanna work towards
relationships
something
with you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I think you can create that when you're together. And
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty. My mom would always say, like, hey, like 2 things, right? Like, when you have kids, you don't have to stop living. Like, she's like, y'all came everywhere with us. There was nothing crazy about
Absolutely.
it. And she said, and when you get a partner, like, she was like, your generation, if I can be honest, and I just hate watching you kind of like run around like a chicken with your head cut off. She's like, you guys want to build and then find somebody. But the reality is like our generation, and she's from like God knows when, I don't know, but I do.
No, you did not do your mouth like that.
She's 30 years older than me, so my mom's like in her 60s. So she said, our generation, we got together and then built.
Yeah.
And that there's
because if
something
you're
to
spending
that.
most of your life building, which most people are, then I know I
Which
hate
is my
that.
generation. I have been building
Yeah.
for 30 years, and now I found a mate. And so like, well, he's been building for 30-something years, and so we have to look at each other.
Right.
Like, when
and
we
I'm about to
live
be
together,
25.
we have 2 sets of furniture.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
there's something special about the 21-year-old that gets married to someone else close to their age, or
Yeah.
maybe not,
So
but
they
like
can get it,
buying one set of furniture.
Everything
It's a whole
together,
different
yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
and so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I completely agree. Go ahead.
Same.
I was saying I agree.
Same mentality.
No, you're good. I just anyway. I was gonna say for me, like I totally can relate to what you're saying with like wanting to be with someone who has dreams or aspirations. I know that from just like experience for sure.
Same.
Just like from like when I was younger and being in a serious relationship and realizing that like it killed like my flame. Like it was just like for me, like for instance, like an example was like dancing. Like I love dancing.
Yeah.
Like I like
I mean,
to
could
sing.
you
I like
imagine
to-
like dancing or if you're showing your significant other like a routine that you just came up with
Yeah.
and he just doesn't get it at all
That's what
every
and
time.
that's what it was. And
Yeah,
it's not
that's
even
right.
like that. It's more of like we would go dancing because I wasn't saved at the time and stuff like that. And it's like it's just like, man, that's like what I love to do. And
Yeah.
you don't have to be good or anything like that. But like the fact that you would be willing to like look silly with me
Right.
is like a whole nother, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's something that like means something to me. And so like now I know, like for me, like when I date, like I'm like I said, like I would love to date someone who likes to dance or like music in some sort of way of just like, but also like that's awesome. But like just the fact that you're willing, like when I'm silly, like that you're willing to go there with me.
Yes.
Like
that's what
as
I'm
well
saying.
as balance, like
Yeah.
too, because like if I'm going somewhere and you're like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Like don't just
Right.
go there with me, like you know what I mean, knowing full well that's not a good idea.
But
Like,
he
I
can
want
also
you to say
expect for
something.
you to go with him.
Yes,
yeah.
and vice versa, like that give and
Yeah.
take. So like
Yeah.
I'm really, I'm looking for someone that's evenly yoked. Okay.
You pretty
All
much
right.
said everything I was
You
trying
know?
to say, just in
You're
a
so
very
funny.
beautiful
Okay.
way.
But,
Yes,
so
that's
interesting.
exactly
Bible,
what I'm
and that's
trying to
on the word, and that's
word.
on reading it, and that's on Bible,
Jesus.
and that's on Jesus. Okay. anyway.
Where y'all been at kids camp? I'm so
I was
confused.
like,
And that's on yes.
say. We just came from that's
on-
on VBS.
and that's on I'm a C. I am a C.
Oh my gosh. Get out.
That's how I learned how to spell Christian.
Me too.
That's
That's
how
how
I
I
learned
learned
how
to
to
play
play
eternally. I would sing that song.
Yeah,
and I
that's-
would always get to eternally.
Yep,
And
that
then
part of the
say it.
song I had no clue.
Yep.
Now I
Yeah.
know. I can visualize it, but before I
Y'all
like,
are hilarious.
Anyway.
We
Yeah.
went there. It's okay.
yeah.
So, okay,
exactly
how do we wrap this up? Like, I mean, there's so many things that we just.
So what's the consensus?
Like that.
Are creatives flaky? Like,
Yeah.
I would say so.
I mean,
As a majority, yeah.
I would say.
I mean, the people I toured with musically,
Because
all
think about
flaky.
it.
Most of them flaky.
Creatives really value their own creativity. Like, folks would be.
So they selfish. You calling them selfish and flaky now.
Okay, first I'm talking about my own folks. Like, but I'm just saying.
But I also think creatives are such idealists that when they find someone and it's not going to fit their mold, they're out. But I know me, before I met my boyfriend, my ideal was like sky high. I really was
And
like.
she had to settle.
I was about to say, are we starting this sentence off?
No. But hear me
I'll
out
let
though.
you finish.
I had such a like perfect man in my mind that I had to get real with myself and be like, Gabriella Martay, this man does not exist.
Yes.
Like the man that is pursuing you is like almost perfect, but you're willing to give that up in hopes that you'll find like some imaginary dude that you will probably never find.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what's crazy. I think a lot of us are like that.
He's probably taken.
Or like faking it.
Yeah.
I don't think that over.
No, I feel that because I really do feel like as a childhood we're told to wait for Prince Charming and like he'll sweep you off your feet.
Oh,
That's
and
a
then make your
load
list of 50 things that he should be. And if he's not one of them out of the 50, you don't date him.
I
want to be like Cinderella, okay? I don't want to be waiting in the cold dark
Dusty
dusty
cellar,
cellar, okay?
waiting for somebody to come and set me free. No. That was so cheatalicious.
I'm so confused.
Don't play with me, okay? Don't play with me.
So what happens when you get two housemates, ex-housemates together?
No, I'm telling
we're
you, this is a
housemates.
literal clue into
we're
what
chilling.
us living together looks like.
We're
We
just like,
literally did this all the time.
I'm looking at Gabby like,
I'm like,
is this
save me.
happening?
Can I
Take
escape?
over your show,
my
Gabby.
God.
You guys were talking about, you guys were talking about waiting for someone to like come.
The
Yeah.
Cinderella song from
No,
Cheap
I
Girls?
remember. No,
Okay.
I know.
Okay, so that's
I was
where-
with you.
Oh.
I wasn't with you when you did that.
yeah.
But I was there.
That's where
and
you
y'all
lost
went.
it.
Yeah,
I
no,
need
that
someone
was-
who will go with me.
I guarantee you most of your audience will understand.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We'll have a vote. Yes or no in the comments.
But yeah, I do feel like the same way, like I was told to expect the Prince Charming. If he's not doing blah 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 blah, he gotta go. And this is, I do still believe in making some type. This is a whole different podcast, but I do believe that in some type of making a list, because like if you're just aimlessly looking.
Yeah, I think you got to know what you want, but then at the
Yeah,
same time, you got to date too, because a
You
lot
gotta
of
be
us
flexible.
want things that we don't
And we don't realize we
really
don't.
know about.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
You really can't know till it happens. Because
Exactly.
listen,
Yeah, it's like you saying, I want to eat this kind of food, but you've never had snails. But you are so convinced you're going to like snails.
I mean, I
Escargot.
used to do that though. Like, so,
Eat
like
snails?
I would. Well, no, not that. But,
I've had
But,
them.
like,
They're pretty good.
but like, well, see, I would be willing to try it. But I
Yeah,
used to do
and
something like
that's how it should be in dating. You should be open to try it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dating, y'all ain't getting married because you went on a first date. Just give it a
gosh.
try.
Just give it a try. That's what I'm
Quit
saying.
being flaky.
And I think
creatives.
that's what
Just
makes
kidding.
us, most of us, I'd say that's probably the number one thing, if I were to guess.
What?
I think that's why we're flaky.
What?
Oh, what? What we just
I don't
Because-
know, but somehow me and
because
Kendra
we
both
have
got lost.
idealism.
Because we're afraid to
Gotcha.
try.
Got you. Because I
Yeah.
don't know where me and Kendra got lost, but we
I
were
know.
both like, what?
I know.
It's all that cheetah girl stuff, y'all.
Y'all
been
got
gone
lost and
ever
we got
since.
lost. No, I completely agree. I think
Yeah.
that we have like way too high standards, first of all. If we're just being
Well,
real.
it's good to have standards, you know.
No,
yeah.
absolutely,
But, like,
because then we're
some of
dating
our
someone
standards
Have
are
a
like-
standard.
if she doesn't
absolutely.
sing
If he's
well,
on something,
yeah.
don't date him.
If he on the phone
That's
talking
it.
about, I just want a photographer as a girlfriend.
No, but
you gotta
girl,
go.
we have friends
no
that have
Instagram
said if he's
girlfriend.
not tall, if he's not making good
don't
money,
call her out like that. Don't call.
who? I said friends.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
We do have-
She's talking about herself.
We all.
Gabby used to always say, if he ain't
No,
tall.
I used to say if he's not tall, yeah. If he doesn't love Jesus and what?
Well, that one's
Well,
fair.
that's
for
a
sure.
that's a
That's
Oh,
a given.
Wait, how are we playing fit? No, I'm just kidding.
but I did.
Y'all
And I
said
changed
open.
it to I changed it to if he's not taller than me, and I got that.
And the whole love Jesus thing. Here's the thing.
I got
I
that
feel
too.
like that has actually changed. Not that we shouldn't. Let me say
my
something.
gosh.
Not that he shouldn't love Jesus because that's my faith. I don't know who's watching.
That's my
But,
favorite.
Right.
like that's my faith, and that's and I want the same thing for my husband and to teach my children and everything. But I was always taught to go after the worship leader, the
Yeah,
pastor,
right.
Fiery
the-
man.
You know what I'm
the one
saying?
that's
But
obviously
y'all,
like,
those the dirtiest ones of y'all.
Say that.
Like, okay.
I got
I'm
exit.
just saying.
Say that.
You know, like,
Not all
saying-
y'all.
not
Don't
all
be
of y'all,
commenting and saying,
obviously.
hey, not me.
But
I didn't say it.
Worked
I
in
didn't
ministry.
say it.
I've worked
I'm
in
not
ministry
saying
since I was
anything.
16 years old. I'm 24 now. This last COVID time is my first time not working in full-time ministry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, your life on the outside at church is not a great indicator for me as
My
to
life on the, I'm confused.
Like,
no, she's saying.
like the way you act at church
We gotta
and
wrap
all of
this up,
that,
y'all.
what you do
Yeah.
is not an indicator to me about what kind of man you are.
No.
Yes,
no.
Or
even
a woman
church,
you are.
or
Yeah.
even church events, the little game nights we be going to and everything, and like even all that, y'all. Okay, I know we're trying to close this out, but let me tell you a story because you were there and it was hilarious. There was this one guy.
I already know.
There was this
I'm
one
afraid.
guy that I was interested in.
Just say his name.
No,
Say
because
his
we're not
name,
gonna do
say
that.
his
We ain't gonna
name.
do
I'm
that.
just kidding.
No names.
But, like,
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
oh my gosh. There was this one guy I was interested in at the time, and so I set up a game night, and I had like everybody come over.
Oh my gosh.
And he only wanted to talk to you. Like we had this conversation.
Oh, I remember this.
You remember
Was I
this?
there?
You
I
were
wasn't
too, 'cause
there,
it was
but
at-
I
yes.
heard.
So we would
Girl.
be sitting there. We would be sitting there in the thing, and he was like, and I would be talking to him, and then let me tell y'all, he was like, huh, and then I was like, are you like? He would literally like leave the conversation. He's like, I'm sorry, but my spirit was pulled. No, he was pulled by you, like in your
flesh.
outfit. And I got so pissed because I was like, first of all, I feel like I take L's pretty good, like.
Yeah.
Now, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, and I have definitely been an emotional wreck before. But
L's
like,
hurt.
I feel like L's. I'm just like, if you're not interested, then you're just not. Just move
Yeah.
on. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not tripping. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But don't sit here and sprinkle Jesus on top of it. And then the next day, oh my gosh, remember when we had that little lunch together or whatever? And he overstepped his boundaries pretty much the entire conversation with you. Like, and in the when it was all happening, everybody was like looking at each other like, did he just say that? Like out loud too? And I was like, why did I like this man?
I think I'm proud of you for even trying to get to know him because like the reality is
game nights and everything.
how do you know if you like someone if
Exactly.
you never take the time to get to know them?
And
That's
I was
true.
so focused on his fiery, I love Jesus, da 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 da.
His persona.
But y'all, when I say the most proudful man
Proudful.
I have ever, is that not a word?
Prideful.
Prideful.
Prideful? Isn't that what I said?
I get what you're
Proudful.
saying.
I heard
Okay, he's the most type of man I have ever met in my life, like ever. And I wouldn't have known that unless, but I was so focused on that one trait of like fiery Jesus, but really, like when we were all hanging out, I was like, Jesus, where? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
real. Yeah.
Like,
that's real.
I'm sorry, I
Where?
might have gone too into that.
That's hilarious.
I just be thinking
It's
back
good.
on that. But yeah, it's crazy like what we think we're looking for.
Yeah.
And then in reality, it playing out is a lot different. So yes, I'm fine with if he's not a creative, doesn't have his own photography business, whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just
Yeah.
want you to be working towards something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Ambition. I think that's really attractive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Ooh,
knowledge.
that-
definitely.
Yeah.
And that's on
Humility. That's
Yeah.
it. What?
Discipline, somebody who cares.
Yeah.
Somebody who can take the initiative is really important to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yes.
lead
Oh
my
gosh.
family. So when somebody is like, hey, I saw that we needed this, I got it. Like, whoa, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's leadership.
I feel like
Take that
especially
initiative, too.
when like you're a natural leader.
Yeah, I don't wanna
like,
lead at
you know,
home.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
I don't want to lead at home. Like
Sometimes I want to lead.
I want you to listen to me at home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't
I'm
want
just
to.
being real. There
I don't
might
want to
be.
lead though. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want
But I
to
don't-
be. I want it to be a partnership.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would like, and what? Let me clarify what I mean. Like,
Yes, go
meaning,
ahead,
like, meaning, like, yes, like I want my man.
I
What?
feel like somebody
Tell
come
us.
take this shovel from her. Okay.
Yeah. Taking a hole.
Taking a hole.
What you about to say?
Oh, go ahead. I'm not mature enough
Oh,
for this.
no.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
Like meaning like they're.
What?
I don't know. They're just like I guess I want a partnership too, but like I also I don't know the way I think. Like I think it doesn't make any sense. Like the leadership, I think is like a can be a give and take.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean?
If
like,
there's
I don't
something
think,
you're better at, why does he have to do it just because
Right,
he's the
exactly,
man?
exactly.
Yeah.
When
So
I think
that-
that's misconstrued nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, I would really like my partner to lead. Like people say, oh, so you just want to be submissive.
which
Well, Yeah, I'm cool with actually.
I do, low key.
It's like I'm tired. Like I don't want to have to fight all my battles by myself. You know what I mean? Like if my partner could show up and help out, like
great. I want to, like, if he's tired, I want to be able to step up
and help him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be like a literal partnership, and like, how do we work best together? And like, we're trying to go this way,
right?
Like,
but it is like basketball, right? Like, there's a captain, and the captain's not always on the floor,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? And so you kind of like know, and you trust the captain of your team at the same time. So if they get off the court, you're like, it's my time to shine. But they want me here, and they trust me. I trust them. It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah, definitely.
Like when people be talking about like being an independent woman, I think that that's like really important. But don't get me wrong, like I'm gonna be independent no matter who or wherever
you're a
I'm
human.
be.
You're made independent.
And, exactly. And I'm like, but I want somebody to depend on.
Yeah.
Even though I'm
need
independent,
people.
I still want to be dependent.
Yeah.
It's reliable. Yeah.
Confusion.
I know that that's not going to age well, but I'm still going to say it.
I'm with you.
No, that's great. So I would say, I think we came to the conclusion that creatives aren't entirely flaky.
Creatives,
yeah.
No, everybody has their own nuances. Everybody has their own circumstances, and everybody has their own side of the coin.
But I would say advice for creatives who are looking for a relationship. The biggest thing that I'm concluding from what everyone is saying is to be open.
Yeah,
like, just don't box yourself in with some ideal that's unrealistic, with some standard that's ridiculous, and with, like, even just specific nitpicky things that aren't necessary.
And go figure out what you want and what you
be
like
open.
about people. Some people are so in love, and I'm like, but what do you like about the person? And they're like, I don't know. Be able to articulate that.
Yeah.
I like this person because they're loyal, or like they have a great heart.
That's
period.
Infatuation, is it not? Okay.
Anyways,
on that note, you've been listening to the Creatives Conversation. Make sure you subscribe, and we will see you in our next podcast. Bye, y'all.
Bye.